threat to casinos isn't online gaming, it's millennials. Here with an explanation is Alex Bumazhny, a director at Fitch Ratings. Alex, first off, let's focus on online gaming. Why hasn't that lived up to expectations and become more of a threat?
Yeah, it's actually largely illegal in the United States. Only 3 states so far have legalized it, New Jersey being the biggest one of them. And the problem is that, first of all, it hasn't gained traction with the older demographic that is used to going to casinos. But also there are a lot of technical glitches, such as payment processors not taking credit cards associated with gambling. There's also an issue of geolocation, where a gambler might be in New Jersey but might be picked up as he's or she's outside of New Jersey. So it will probably take some time to get going. You probably need more states to legalize it for there to be a critical mass. And for poker players, the big thing is that poker players like to play with a lot of different players, and if you have a ring fencing where you're only allowed to play with players in your state, that really limits your options with how many players you could play at a single time. So for now, it's kind of in the infancy stage, and it's probably going to take several more years for it to develop.
All right, so casinos can cross that off the list, but apparently millennials are on the list of things to worry about. What's the story there?
Yeah, the millennials, it seem like they're a little bit less interested in gambling in the casino. They still go to casinos quite a bit, but they spend their money more so on food, beverage, nightclubs, entertainment, and less so at slot machine particularly. They like table games, they like things that have more skill element in them, like poker. Unfortunately, these games are a little bit less profitable for casinos than slot machines, which require less labor and generate better return on investment.
And for the millennials, too, they're drawn to some of the gaming that's not necessarily online gaming, but some of the other fantasy football games and things like that, right?
Yeah, we have seen this take off over the past couple of years, especially with mobile devices in everybody's pockets these days. So fantasy sports, you have daily fantasy, which is becoming pretty big. It's almost akin to sports betting, but it's skill-based, so it's not technically gambling. And there's daily fantasy sports, which is becoming pretty big. You don't have to wait a whole season to figure out who wins. You could bet on a single day. And bets could be pretty substantial at times. And the one company reports its earnings has reported more than 370 million of revenue in fourth quarter 2014. So it's pretty substantial business at this point. And social games is also becoming a pretty big element. The casino social games are now generating about 1.5 billion of gaming revenue in the United States. So it's becoming a pretty big segment, and we do think that there is some cross play between players that go to casinos and players that choose to maybe potentially stay home and just play the social game on their iPhone or their Droid device.
So what should the traditional casino companies be doing now to prepare for the future when you obviously have an aging baby boomer population that might not be going as much, and you might also eventually have more competition from the online gaming?
Yeah, that's a challenge that they're facing, and they're pretty much acknowledging it. Caesars Entertainment actually bought the second largest social gaming app, which is Slotomania. So they're preparing for that. IGT, a couple of years ago, which is the slot manufacturer, they purchased Double Down, which is the largest casino social app. So they're preparing for that. They're also introducing more skill-based element into slot machines. So bonus rounds where you have to maybe blow up UFOs or shoot at a deer or something like that. So there are all these elements that they're trying to introduce to get more millennials engaged. But it's an uphill battle.
Alex Bumazhny from Fitch, thanks for your time.
Sure. Thank you.
I'm Rhonda Schaffler for The Street.